We are within indeed. We are phakathi inside. I love it, Pelelani. We are within. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Ndima dekwana abudi. And of course, it's not just any Wednesday, right? It is a Wellness Wednesday. And I'm so glad that you are taking the time out to join myself, Hulisani Ravele, in conversation with Dr. Khanyile. I am so excited for today. But of course, let's get some house rules underway before we start our conversation. Welcome to Courageous Conversation with Hulisani Ravele. This is, of course, brought to you by Unilever Beauty and Personal Care and my special family at Dove. It is Wellness Wednesday. The day belongs to us. Half an hour for us to just tap in and check in on ourselves, to have an important conversation that will hopefully make a difference not only in your life, but to those that are around you. A moment for us to just speak to ourselves, check in on our inner selves, and learn from one another so that we can continue to grow, but more importantly, so that we can continue to heal. Hello, everybody. I am seeing all your messages. Yes, keep your comments coming in. Let me know where it is, where you're from, where you are, how your day was. It's so important to actually check in on that as well, right? Cindy, how was your day from Eswatini? Hello, Sissy. Hi. Cool. While all your messages are coming in, don't forget that this Wellness Wednesday, as I'm in conversation with Dr. Khanyile, you're also going to have an opportunity to win yourself a 1,000 Rand voucher. That is all thanks to Dove. Why? Because we want you to pamper yourself. We want you to look after yourself, and we want you to be just like our winner from last week. Congratulations to Khumutsechang Mujapelu, who won himself a 1,000 Rand voucher to go, do the nice things in life that just let you relax and let you feel good. So I hope you enjoy your voucher, Khumutsechang. It's on its way to you. And if you want to be just like Khumutsechang, just stay tuned until the end of tonight's Insta Live, and I'll let you know exactly how you can stand a chance of winning one. Hello, everybody still joining us from Tulamashe. Hello, Mdluli. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Pumeza, all the way out in East London. I miss East London so much. I really do, on a genuine note. On a genuine note. All right. I think we are almost ready to get our live started. Let me see. I've given everybody 3 minutes? I think that's enough for everybody to get here, right? You're on time. So technically, I should be allowed to start on time. Okay, before I invite Dr. Khanyile to join me on the call today and to join me on the live, it is Wellness Wednesday, and the team at Dove put together a Wellness Wednesday checklist for us. I'm going to be posting it on my Insta stories after this live. And basically, it's a list of things that perhaps you've done everything on the list. Maybe you've done one or two things, but it's so important to ask yourself, have you taken care of yourself today? Have you taken care of yourself? What does taking care of yourself even look like? So I'm going to go through some things on my list. Let me know if you have done any of these. Are you guys ready? All right. Did you take some time off social media? Did you practice some deep breathing? Did you read a book? Did you take a long nap? I wish I was you. Maybe you made your vision board today. If you did that, let me know. Did you light a scented candle? I totally did that earlier on in the day. Or did you dance to your favorite music? Did you do any of those things that I just read out on my list? If you did, please comment below and let me know so we know that you have taken care of yourself this Wednesday. I'm actually going to do mine right now. Another one, I am going to light up my scented candle. It's so pretty. Can you see it? It was actually a gift from the Unilever Beauty and Personal Care team when they sent us our beautiful Beauty at Home with You packages. So I'm quickly going to light up my candle, my scented candle. And then I'm going to invite Dr. Khanyile onto our IG Live so we can get started, because I'm sure you can't wait to hear everything that she has to share with us today. All right? So there we go. My scented candle is on. If you've got one, please go ahead and also light yourself one so that you can at least tick off something on our Wellness Wednesday list. Like I said, I'm going to post it on my Insta stories after this conversation, so you can go and copy it, tag and tick off the things that you've done, and then tag me on it so that I can see exactly how it is that you're taking care of yourself. Let me add Dr. K onto the call, and then we can get tonight's conversation. Everybody can hear us just fine, right? Well, you can hear me just fine. We'll see when we add Dr. Khanyile I'm so glad that you meditated.
Hello, darling.
Hello, beautiful. Oh, girl. Okay, I see,
We
Uguti, when
gotta
you're
because
busy
you
with
reminded me, girl.
Wellness
You
Wednesday.
reminded me. I need to get the face ready for the live. No, I'm saying.
Oh man, I absolutely love it. How's this, hey? Two beautiful freckled queens out here with their natural hair, living their best lives.
Yes, I love this. I'm so glad I got to do this with you just after I cut my hair. This is the first live I've done with my new hair, so
You
I'm
look
very excited.
amazing. Like,
Thank
wow, girl.
you.
And that is a form of self-care and self-love and wellness, right? Taking that leap and just trusting yourself.
It was really a big one. You know, it's so weird because I feel like God has been whispering to me slowly but surely here and there, let it go, let it go. And so I listened, and so I let it go. If it's
I'm
meant for me,
so
it
glad
will
you
come
did.
back.
I'm so glad you did. All right, welcome to our courageous conversation with Dr. Khanyile. If you've just joined us, Wellness Wednesday here is really more important for me in the month of October. We had our first one last week, which was with Caster Semenya, and we were talking about mental fitness versus physical fitness and how you maintain a balance and, getting that right. And why I say today's conversation is even more important is because the month of October marks Mental Health Awareness Month. And we know that for a lot of us, especially in the Black community, speaking about mental health matters, understanding mental health. There is so much negativity, like it's nyama almost, something that is so wrong and so evil about talking about the issues when we have when it comes to mental matters. And so that's why tonight's conversation for me is even like extra important because I'm joined by a woman who is an advocate for mental health awareness, for us breaking down the stigmas of around, not being able to have these conversations. And it truly, you're one of the most courageous people I see on social media, just out there living her truth and saying to people, it's okay. Hey, it's okay.
It really is okay. I hope everyone can hear me.
It's your
Because
sound is perfect.
okay, perfect. Because my connection, I don't want it to cut. I want to really go into this. I just want to say thank you guys for letting me come on Mental Health Wellness Day. So this is like International Mental Wellness Day, and I'm so glad I get to talk about one of my favorite topics in the whole wide world with you guys.
I'm also going to turn off all the comments because, like you said, you really want to get into the conversation. So, to everybody that just joined and they're like, where are the comments? What's happening? I think it's always important for us to fully be in a conversation. And when there's, writing all over and this one's trying to ask this, we really don't get time to listen. But I promise everybody, I will open up the questions at the end because I know that you've got lots that you would like to ask Dr. Khanyile. Let's get straight into it. In your own words, define mental health.
I love that you say in my own words because I think mental health has to change and be individualized for each person. So for me, mental health is a state of balance between all of the things I want to do, all of the things I have to do, and all of the
Wow.
things I dream about. And I think it's really difficult because today in society, we have so much on our plate and we feel like we've got so much responsibility. So when I find a balance between all of those, that's when I start feeling that that's mental health for me.
I need to write that down. All the things I want to
Want
do.
to do, balance between all the things I want to do, all the things I have to do, and all of the things I dream about.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I mean, this conversation has just begun, and I'm already like, okay, the nuggets are here. The nuggets are here. Why do you think it's so important for us to destigmatize mental health and the conversations we have around it?
Firstly, because every single person at some point in their life will experience mental health challenges. And that could be as significant as being admitted and being on chronic medication for psychiatric illness, or that could be as simple as someone who is going through grief about a friendship that has been lost or about a job that has been like really challenging in their life. Destigmatization means that we allow people the space to really feel what they're feeling and deal with their emotions in a healthy way. helping each other get through things and understanding what another person is going through so that we don't feel ashamed of what we are going through and we don't feel guilt about hiding our feelings. We really need to talk about this openly, and by destigmatizing mental health, we're going to be able to have a conversation. The same way we ask you about what happened on your weekend should be the same way we speak about how's your mental health.
How's
Mm.
therapy? How are you checking in on yourself? You said something about it's something as simple as mourning a friendship that's gone, right? And we're not even talking about a friend that's died. We're just meaning a
Yeah.
friendship that has ended, that has caused you pain. But often you would be teased about that, right? You'd be teased
Mm.
about, oh, come on, just get over it. It's just a friendship. And it reminds me of when I went to my first therapy session. It was in, I think, around 2014.
Mm.
And to even just openly say that, to say, I went to therapy for this, it was something that it wasn't even about my dad's passing. It was a guy that I couldn't understand. Why am I exhibiting such behavior where I cannot get over this person? Like, why are they
Mm.
constantly on my mind? And at some point, I felt a bit ashamed to say I went to therapy for that, because it's like, it seems like such a stupid thing. But I sit here with you today and you reaffirm that that was me taking care of my mental health, no matter what it came across as to somebody else.
Definitely. And I think a lot of people forget that not everything that happens to you will cause a reaction that's expected by everyone else. So, for example, I know people who've lost jobs and have actually had incredibly like really great resilience with regards to that, finding another job, coming out successful. But like something as simple as them having a fight with their partner or having dysfunction, in another part of their life has really caused them a lot of distress. So we all have these warped ideas of what we're expected to do in a situation, how we're expected to react, how we're supposed to mourn, how we're supposed to be happy. And because of that, we don't understand that different people have different coping mechanisms. People can't all do therapy or all do exercise to help them deal. We all have to like find our own niche. And that's the thing. The same way we have different skin tones, even though you and I are technically black, we still
Yeah.
are different. We both have freckles, but we're not really the same person. So I think
No.
all of us can't apply one foundation to this to a problem. We have to look at it at individual level and say, what do I need to do? What do I like? How do I feel? Is this really a big deal? Is it not a big deal? It's okay. Like just allow whatever happens to happen.
And not be ashamed to voice that out, especially if you've grown up in a home that perhaps doesn't even speak about these things. You might see an uncle or an aunt where you're sitting and you're like, actually, if you just sat down and spoke about the things that hurt you, the
Mm.
to go to that dark place where you need to dig up those emotions, maybe you'd be a better person today. And not from a place of judging. I think mental health awareness is from a place of understanding more than judgment, or at least it should be.
It definitely needs to be. And I think because it's so difficult for people to realize at some points in our life, we're going to be vulnerable and we're going to be weak. And certain populations of people are expected to be the strong one, the provider. They always talk about the strong black woman, babes. I'm just, leave me with that narrative. I'm
And
not
easy.
and dizzy. So it's like because we're so used to having these pre-prescribed narratives of what we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to act, a lot of people just expect us to fall into that, and then we put that pressure on ourselves. It's too much. It's honestly too much. And it's so strange because I was speaking to a friend of mine about relationships, and I think some of the ways we perceive relationships and friendships now have been so warped by media or by Instagram or whatever. You're expected to do particular things or say particular things in relationship. And if we as a society just talk to one another and talk to our kids, talk to our sisters and brothers about what healthy relationships look like, healthy communication, I think then we can be able to really have generations, not just one generation, but generations of healthy, thriving people who can really take themselves and the community forward.
It's funny you say that. My friend and I just had a weekend away, and we are just talking about manifesting the kind of things that we want in our lives, right?
Mm.
And we're talking about we want a soft life, we want to do nice things. But then we also said we also want soft love. We don't want this thing and
Yes.
this idea of as a woman, I must first, love is almost like it must be painful. There must be struggle. There must be, and
I'm a
that's
ride
when
or
you're a
die. I'm
woman.
okay.
No,
I was getting off the ride. It's okay.
it's okay. Count me out. I mean, let's come down to a personal level. Can you take me to a time in your life or an experience in your life where you checked in on your own mental health and you were like, I'm not okay? What happened and how did you heal from that?
Mm. So I always tell the story about my experience with burnout. And that was, I mean, as a medical doctor, it happens quite a lot because there's constant periods where it up and down. One rotation is really heavy, one rotation is kind of light. But particularly in my first year of internship, I was at Chris Hani Baragwanath Academic Hospital. And I had just come out of the obstetrics and gynecology rotation, and I was moving into medicine. And anyone who works at Bara knows it's already hectic, but for the interns, it's particularly hectic because we don't sleep. We just go to work and go home and like pass out because we're exhausted. And so at that point, I then was in a relationship, and my partner and I then broke up. But it was a really bad breakup. And I was handling myself. I had my exercise together. I was doing well. I had my friendships intact. But that really showed me how dysfunctional everything was. I was waking up in the middle of the night crying, climbing into my mom's bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't eat properly. I couldn't sleep. I lost so much weight. Even though I got to work, I was starting to find it difficult to even get myself to work and perform at the level of function that I needed to, because I mean, we're dealing with 40 patients a day. I can't like slack. So at that point, thank God for my mom, because she was like, this is a mess and I don't like it. And she took me to my psychologist. She didn't even like say, won't you? She took me. She made an appointment, and her and I sat down with my psychologist, and we really just went through exactly what I was feeling. And I remember sitting, it was just, now that I think about it, I realize how silly it was, because I was sitting there crying, going, I'm completely okay. I'll be fine. I'm okay. And my mom
But
was
here
just
you
like,
are.
you crazy as hell. Like, and so from that point, I really had to pull back. And I think that's when my relationship with God became really strong. And I found good, healthy coping mechanisms that were able to get me out of that darkness. And then I was able to sleep better and perform better. So, yeah.
When you say your mom took you to the psychologist, it allows me to pull on this thread of conversation of how do you help someone that you can see from the outside that this person needs help without seeming like you're saying there's something wrong with them, and without making it seem like you're trying to force something onto them. You know what I mean? Like, because you've
Definitely.
been that person who was dragged, and I'm sure because it was your mom, there was a different kind of like energy between it, because you're like, it's my mom. But if you and I were friends, and I was like, no, Kanya, Aukushab, like,
Mhm.
I think you should consider seeing someone. Do you have any advice around how to or how not to?
So it's very difficult, especially when you're not in a position of authority in that person's life. So if this person is like your child, if you are a leader in the community and there's someone that can help, you can help and really pull them out. It's a little bit easier. But I think the one thing is, we always speak about insight in mental health. Does this person understand that what's happening to them is not healthy for them? And do they understand that there is something that needs to change? Because a lot of the time you'll find that people know there's a problem, but they think they've got it completely under control. So the first thing would be speaking to someone and trying to understand what they understand about what's going on with them. Saying, friend, I see that this and this is going on. I'm really worried about it. How do you feel about it? How are you coping with it? What are you doing to get yourself out of the situation? Because I think once you have that conversation, you can also apply a little bit of empathy to their situation and put yourself in their shoes and say, I see why you think this is under control. I see how you feel that this is okay. And then once you understand that, you can move forward and then say, okay, well, maybe friend, let me take you to a psychologist. Can I book you to a psychologist? If you don't have the funds to go and actually see a private one, at the local clinic, there are facilities where you can book a therapy session with a psychologist or even a social worker sometimes. And that way, or they can really allow that person to speak out their views. Importantly, and I always say to people that you must understand your own limits as a friend who's trying to help someone else. Because, for example, if they actually are having quite serious psychiatric issues, suicidality, they may need a lot of support from you. And if you are not ready to take on that responsibility, I think be honest with yourself. It doesn't mean you mustn't help them, but just don't be the person that says, anything you need, I'm here. You know, ask them to communicate with you if they're having any struggles and what you can do to help, but clarify that help. Friend, I can see that you need help with groceries. Can I buy them for you? Do you need help with me paying for your sessions? So be very clear in your communication of how you're going to help them. Because if they ask you for the help and you are now like,
And then
oh,
you don't turn up.
Girl, I'm busy, then it's going to really make them withdraw and really not trust you in the future. So those two things, I think, those three things: one, have insights into what they are going through; two, have an action plan as to how you're going to help them; and then three, just really understanding and having empathy about what they're going through.
Sure. I love what you said about that. If you don't, be careful about what it is or how you intend to show up for them, because you're right. If you don't show up, you end up being a part of the issue. You end up being a part of the trust. That the reason I don't tell people when something is wrong is because I can't rely on them. And I think for a lot of us who have grown up in the family structure where, not that you had to fend for yourself, but you learned independence from a very young age. Asking people for help in any shape or form, whether it's money, therapy, something is wrong at home, you just don't talk about it because you're like, hey, my mom carried it all on her back, on her shoulders. I should be able to do the same. And we need to break things like that.
Definitely. And it's also difficult with family members because I know I've diagnosed lots of family members. I'm just like, when? But how do you speak to an aunt or how do you speak to an uncle and say, listen, Rakadi, wait again. I think there's a problem. Can I help you? And it's difficult. So, depending on your family as well, maybe you'd have to go via another family member and say, this is how we need to help so and so, and maybe you as the elder brother can speak to this one who's the younger sister or brother. So it's just a matter of strategizing sometimes and also understanding the dynamics of the relationship, because maybe they do need to hear that information but not from you, and that's also difficult because we want to help them so much.
Sometimes someone needs to hear what they need to hear, but not always from you. I'm taking that one with me. What would you say you know about mental health now as a grown-up and as a doctor that you wish you knew then? Maybe growing up, maybe in varsity.
There's a lot that I wish I knew. But I think the biggest thing that I wish I understood about myself was that I am loved and I deserve to feel that way. And I think I try to make people love me and I try to do things to prevent people from leaving. And so I hurt myself a lot because I felt like the love that I was feeling wasn't the one that I thought I deserved. So definitely, yeah, it was a lot. And anyone who knows me knows my heart is like this huge, and I just
Yo,
like
Mukiel, you love love. Hey, even I don't know you personally, but I know that this girl loves love. But for me, it's courageous. Like being willing to go back in again. And that's taken a lot of self-work, right?
It has, and it's also taken a lot of self-love because everyone thinks that I go from relationship to relationship because I'm looking for someone to complete me. And that's the problem, is that it's not about the other person. The reason I am the way I am is because I know love is a basis of who I am. And I enjoy sharing my life with someone who's going to make me better. But more importantly, I want to make them better in some way. And so when someone is allowing me to also go into their life and contribute to that, I feel like it's just so beautiful. Like, I just very traditional. I want to get married and I want to have kids, but I don't want that because, it's a stereotype, or it's
It's the
something that someone has
blueprint.
told me. It's just something that I want deep in my heart. And I think I have worked my butt off for so long, and I have done so much to make myself whole so that when I create, I'm going to create whole. I'm not going to just make nje just because I can.
Can we please have a monument of Dr. Khanyile somewhere, people? And in that monument, they must just put a speaker, a boombox, where they're just spitting out everything that you've just said, because that is so important. And I think not just around love, but around self-awareness and mental health as well, of defining it for yourself, defining why you want to go to therapy for you, not worrying about why everybody else does it and why they do it, defining why you do your yoga, why you tap out. It's for you, not for anyone else.
Yes.
Because when you are whole, then you can pour whole into somebody else. This is not a movie. There's no Jerry Maguire. Oh, you complete me. No.
And you know what's the other thing is that it's not this moment that happens and you're just like, I'm complete. Look at God. It doesn't happen like that. Like, and I think that's the problem is we watch the Eat, Pray, Loves and we watch all these great like movies. There's not one moment or like one day where it just happens. Even for me, it was like, and whenever I speak to my friends, you just realize one day that you're breathing different. You're just smiling randomly to yourself and you're just like, hi, but I'm happy, man.
You're just glowing different, babes, and it's not even a something. It's just a within job.
It's just a peace that just falls over you. And the thing is, I think everyone is trying to chase that thing. And because you're trying to chase that thing, you'll never find it. I mean, obviously, like once you find the person, like even when you fall in love, for me, it doesn't go, bah, I'm in love. It's just like I just like you, man.
It's a process.
Over and over again, and then I just enjoy you, man. And then suddenly I'm just like, yeah,
I love you, man. Yeah.
You're my onesie. I see you. I see you. You know what I mean? So
I absolutely love it. If you've just joined us, welcome to the conversation. I'm going to turn back the commenting. This is Courageous Conversation with Dr. Khanyile, brought to you by Dav. We are tapping in on ourselves, talking about mental health and, of course, the importance of it, more so now in the month of October, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. If you've got any questions, please pop them in the comments below, or you can also just pop them in the question box over here. Let me just pop one open. We've got a question from 88MC, Dr. K. Do I call you Nogukanya or Dr. Khanyile? Like, actually, let me resolve this first.
As long as it's not Kanye Mbao, as long as it's not Kanye Sile, as long as it's not Kanye West, Nogukanya, Dr. Khanyile, I'm happy with either one.
It works.
Just don't fetch all these other stress.
Okay, wait. Let me ask you this one from Ms. Kumi, who says, is it possible that you can be in a dark place, but you can't really pinpoint what's really wrong? Like what's really taking you to that place? Is it possible?
Yes. That happens, especially when you're going through a period of burnout. And burnout can happen because of people most commonly associated with work. But relationships can burn you out. Friendships can burn you out. Your own like internal struggles can burn you out, if you put yourself through a lot of stress. And so that's why therapy really, really helps. Or not even therapy per se, but talking to someone helps, because the way I describe it is that if you take a ball of yarn, like it's all like tangled and it's just wool, it's all in a big ball. What talking to someone does is you gently unravel that wool one piece by one piece, and you lay it out in front of that person. And then they are able to relate that story back to you in your own words. And then you realize, oh, this is where the problem was. And I think that's why it's important to have somebody close that you can speak to, because you might not realize that the source of this darkness that you're feeling is not actually the job. It's actually your insecurity about money or insecurity about being alone. And now you've forced yourself to work so hard so that you're never alone and you're never out of money. So it's because that's what you find, like passion and purpose comes into a place. You work, but you don't really feel fulfilled. So definitely it is easy. Just watch that you're not burning yourself out.
Yeah. Kubeshni wants to know, is it possible to not have friends and be by yourself to get through your pain?
Yes. I think, especially if your friends are toxic, because maybe they're the reason that you are in the place you're in. Sometimes you just have to sit with yourself. You just have to say, what is the problem? Who is the problem? Where am I going wrong? And I think a lot of the time, even though for me, I had friends who were willing to support me, having the time to myself was the most important time, because in
Yeah.
your own solitude, you are then able to be completely honest. You don't have to lie. You don't have to pretend. You just are.
Yep.
And you can write down. Nobody's ever going to see your journal. Nobody's ever going to see the notes you make. You can talk about the deepest, darkest parts of you with yourself. And when you put it on paper, you actually realize, shoo, this is a lot more than I
It's a
realized.
lot.
But once you see it, you're like, okay, it's here, it's out here, it's done now. I can move through it. So sometimes the best therapy sessions happen on your own, but they're
That
hard,
is true.
but they're
And it's
very
also
important.
it's hard, but it's overcoming that fear of being alone, like you
Mm.
said, because now you're going to end up being around the wrong people just for the sake of being around people.
Yeah, being alone doesn't mean you're lonely. Like, I'm
Yeah.
alone a lot, but I'm not necessarily lonely because I enjoy my company. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy what I think about. And so find that space for yourself. Like I said, it doesn't just happen one day. You just
Mm.
feel like, I love myself.
I always say if you can't sit and spend time alone, that in itself is a red it's a red flag. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
constantly need to be around people, what is it about sitting alone that scares you? Because that's what you need
Mm.
to unpack. Where is it that your thoughts take you to? And I love this quote, and I'm going to paraphrase it. It says something about what happened to you in your life will never be your fault, but healing from it, that's your responsibility.
Yes, I fully agree.
That's on you. That's on you. So many questions coming through. All right, let's see. How do you tell your parents that you need therapy?
Oh, um, this is gonna be very blunt, but you just have to tell them, I'm not happy with X, Y, and Z. I'm not okay. If you are feeling suicidal, you have to tell them that. What's difficult is that they might not think that therapy is the right way for you to go. And that's, I think, the more difficult thing is not telling your parents, but hearing their response. And so I honestly think at the end of the day, you need to understand your relationship with your parents. You need to also understand your parents themselves, but don't judge them or don't be upset if they don't agree with you. Because don't forget, our parents grew up in a different time. They didn't grow up in a time of social media where people are openly speaking about mental health this way. They didn't grow up in a time where they were able to run or stay on their own and really have their own personal spaces, because everything was about community. People had to rely on one another to depend on their lifestyles. People had to use the church as places where they commune to really help themselves deal with things like apartheid, people being killed for no reason. So you must understand that while it's important that you speak to your parents, don't judge them for the answers that they give you. Try to understand why they want you to go a particular route. But then if they do want you to go to therapy, that is incredible. Just have the conversation and say, Mama, Papa, I'm not okay. I need help. And I think the best way for me to do it is therapy. Would you be willing to help me in this process? And
Yeah.
see what happens from there.
And sometimes it's about having the courage to start without their support as well. And batla uthola ko pele, they
Yeah. Mm.
literally do get to that point where they turn around, whether it is something that's spiritual that happens to them that they're like, actually, I need to be there for my child, or whatever it is. But if you feel that you're not okay, get started. I saw such an important question that came through from T_map saying, what platforms are there for people who cannot afford a psychologist? Because let's be honest, right? The way our economy is structured, not everybody can afford therapy, and therapy can be expensive.
It can. So that would also depend on where you are living. So in the rural areas and in communities that don't really have access to medical platforms, there are some spaces where, in the community, they have community centers where they have counselors, and they're not necessarily psychologists or psychiatrists, but they still form part of a support system. You may also find people turning to religious leaders, either church leaders or whichever spirituality that you or religion that you follow, because I still feel like there are some principles that you can really get from there that can help you in the form of therapy. If you are in an area where you can access a local clinic, speaking to a psychologist at the local clinic is also available. And like I said, social workers sometimes can be used as a way to get you more help. So it's difficult because everyone especially with mental health, they always want to see a psychologist, but that's not always the first port of call if you don't have that option. For young kids as well, if you go to your life orientation teacher, sometimes even the teachers who run your sports can act as a mentor. They can even act as someone that you can talk to, because I mean, they see you, they know how to motivate you in a particular way, and they can use that exercise as a way to help you deal with your emotions and what you're feeling. So
Yeah.
I hope that helps people, and I hope that answers your questions.
And I think just to add to what Dr. Khanyile is saying, it's also possible to really just look at social media platforms, the right ones. And by that, I mean, you're on social media already, which means you've got access to data, which means you've got access to the internet, whether it is going to YouTube videos about, what are questions that I can help myself through, things like that. Just starting somewhere with what you have, where you are right now, following the right kind of accounts. Like I saw Mind Matters _ZA, we're posting a few comments. Your page as well. You
Mental
post a lot
matters
of
underscore.
information, Mental Matters. There are so many platforms out there. You just need to reach out and start the healing journey for yourself. Dr. Khanyile, I'm so upset because we only have half an hour to chat. May I please extend by 5 minutes?
Babes,
Like we're
let's go,
already
let's go.
over, but let's be over and just be okay with it. You touched on social media and just how we're a generation that is very different from our parents. They never grew up in a time of social media where we see everybody's success supposedly. We see everybody so happy and living their best lives. What's your advice and encouragement to somebody who's literally just like, I'm not enough, my life is not okay, because they are not keeping up to, again, perception of what they are being shown on social media? Because not everybody's showing you their real life. They're showing you what they want you to see.
Exactly. I think the first thing is, if you find yourself addicted to social media, it's difficult, but you have to stop. You have to stop and cut yourself off, even if it's for a week, because the problem that we have is you are going to train your mind with the images that you see to believe that's what you have to have. And you're not going to have any satisfaction in your current situation until you stop that stimulus, stop that input. So probably doing a social media fast would be the first thing. But the second thing is, when you come back to social media, follow accounts that really speak to you as an individual, and follow inspirational accounts. And when I say inspiration, I say follow people who are in the journey to what you would like to be. So for example, if you know there are doctors around, maybe follow them because they can share their journey with you in order to be that way. If you are wanting to become an accountant, there are a lot of accountants and pages like that, but also even professional pages. Things that can motivate you without making you feel like your life is horrible or that you don't deserve to be in particular spaces. I think
And
the
they don't make
third
you feel
thing.
pressured.
Yes, they don't make you feel pressured, but they also give you a reality and an expectation that you can actually live up to, versus
Yeah.
seeing people. And I mean, it's not bad that people post their lavish lifestyles, because I feel like if that is your lifestyle, that's what you should definitely go on and do. But people, especially young girls and guys, are on these social media platforms using those as tools that are going to run their lives a particular way. The third thing I was going to say is use social media as a tool, which means it needs to be able to be put away and only brought out when you need it. So when
Mm.
you need a little bit of motivation, bring it out. It shouldn't be something you turn to whenever you're bored. It shouldn't be something that you use instead of studying to take away your mind. So really be strict about it and use it as a tool. So that way you can help yourself, motivate yourself, not constantly berate yourself and think, oh, my life is so horrible.
I am totally on this. Like, even for me, when people are just like, yeah, but you accomplished, you've done this, whatnot. There are certain people that I don't follow on social media and in this industry, because I'm just like, look, your success inspires me, but it also gives me pressure. So I'm not going to follow you, not because I don't like you, but because I'm looking after my own mental health. And yes, when I want to see something, I'll go to your page to be like, okay, that's nice, and then I'll come back. But I don't want it in my face all the time. And that's really helped me to contextualize the whole run your own race at your own pace. I
You
can't
are
be
saying
saying
something
that,
so
but not
important.
living it.
You're saying something so important in the fact that run your own race, because I think a lot of people, especially with social media, it's always, who told me, did you see this? And then now I also want to see. And why are you not following that page? Do you and this person have beef? Aibo,
Mm,
can we not make it an attack on the person who I am or am not following? Can we make it more about ourselves and more about what we want to see? Because also social media is a constant advertisement about your life. So do you want to
right.
advertise drugs and bad habits, or do you want to advertise and motivate yourself to do good in this world and be healthy and mentally and physically healthy?
Yeah. Oh, Dr. Khanyile, we can speak about anything forever and ever. To our team at Unilever, I know they're watching. Rukupa part two. I'm sure I'm not the only one that is going to ask for part two of this conversation. Please, please, please. And to everybody asking if I'm going to save the live, yes, I definitely will. I promise. It's going to be on my page. Before I let you go, Nogukanya, your top 3 tips if I'm scared or I need to find the courage to take that first step in seeking help with my mental health.
Number one is to be okay with asking for help. Number two is to go onto any platform, whether it is social media or whether it's the internet, to find things like some South African Depression and Anxiety group. You can go onto our page, Mental Matters. You can go onto the internet and ask for and look for places where you can get help, and they will be able to, they'll pop up. There's lots and lots of resources where you can find help. And number three is once you start the process, don't feel ashamed of how you feel. You are entitled to your feelings and you're allowed to feel however it is you feel, whether it's good, bad, happy, sad, slow, fast. It's your own race. Doesn't matter how you run it because it's yours. So please, please take care of yourself. And thank you so much for helping me just share all this information on this mental wellness day.
I love it. I love you. I think you're dope.
I love you, girl. You know I love you. You know
And
you
it's
my
not just
boo.
about your freckles. It's not just because you're a short girl like me. I mean, we could practically be twins. But just on a genuine note, just it's very rare to find authenticity reflected back to us in this day and world that we live in and in this time that we live in. And you do that. You do it so effortlessly. And just want to lift you up and say thank you. Like, keep doing the work that you're doing. Keep having the courageous conversations that you have on your platform. Keep loving courageously, because it really, on a genuine note, inspires the rest of us to be like, it's fine. Even if you break up after 2 months, you loved and it was great. You'll
The
get another one.
audience. Thank you so much. I love you.
Good night. Oh man, isn't she amazing? My heart is so full. Like, my heart is so full. Dr. Khanyile, absolutely wow. Phenomenal. Make sure you follow her for Khanyile. Her story is really one that I think should inspire us, all of us, whether we're young or old. We could always learn from one another. And yes, I will definitely ask for the team. I'll ask the team for a part two so that we can continue the conversation. But the most important thing that I hope you took from tonight's courageous conversation is that it's okay to not be okay, hey? It really is. Nobody, trust me, not even me, in all my joyfulness, peacefulness, always has it figured out 24/7. Someone asked me today, how are you always so happy and so joyful? And I said, I heal a lot, as in I heal myself because I cry a lot. I am happy a lot because I cry a lot. And in that crying, it's not because something is wrong with me. I'm releasing all that which I am holding onto that hurts me, whether it's work, whether it's something somebody said, whether it's I didn't get a job or whatnot. Do you know what it is? It's not holding it in and not being afraid to go to those places where I can feel safe to be vulnerable and to speak about what's on my mind, whether that is a friend that you have, whether it is therapy because you're fortunate and can afford to go do that, whether, like Dr. Khanyile said, it is somebody at church or whatever it is. Find someone to talk to, because that's all it is. Working on yourself is about being willing to go to those dark places within yourself, because once you start undigging, once you start bringing it all up, your light is buried under all of that. Your light is buried under all that hurt you, all the words that people said to you, all those things. That's where you need to go and find your light. Because like I said, there's a saying, it's not my saying, so please don't quote and say Hulisani said, but there's a saying that says what happened to you will never be your fault. It isn't your fault. But you healing yourself and you moving yourself to a better place in your life because you deserve it and you're worth it, that's your responsibility. So take accountability for it and just allow yourself to not only grow, but allow yourself to glow. Okay? All right. So before I let you go, I get to run a competition with you this evening. And this is for your chance to win yourself a 1,000 Rand voucher. Thanks to the team at Dove, so that you can go out there and spoil yourself and pamper yourself and enjoy some time out. And hey, even if you want, you can book 2 sessions of therapy. I'm just saying, it's yours, so you can do whatever you want to do with it. This is how you can enter and stand a chance to win. I'm going to post this live on my page. The moment you see it, just go under there and comment and just share what it is that you learned from today's courageous conversation, what you are taking home, what's stuck in your mind. And then we will randomly select a winner from there. So after I post it, comment there and share what it is that you learned. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. And a big, big thank you to the team at Unilever Beauty and Personal Care, because if it wasn't for you bringing us these conversations, I don't think a lot of spaces allow for us to have them. So thank you for having the courage as a team to say, you know what? This is what we're going to be about as a team, and this is what we're going to do. And we're going to put not only our money, but our mouths where our money is at the same time. So thank you again for tuning in. I love you. Next Wednesday, yes, 7 o'clock, another courageous conversation brought to you by Dove right here on my IG Live. Follow me, follow Dove_ZA so that you find out exactly who is going to be next. Look after yourself. I wish you lots of love. I wish you lots of light. Ah.